Troops back on the streets of Derry tonight after violence follows Apprentice Boys March. European Union leaders decide to start talks with 6 new members next spring. And President McAleese is honoured in Lebanon and meets the Irish community there. A very good evening to you. Troops are back on the streets of Derry tonight for the first time in nearly 6 months. The security operation follows violent clashes between police and demonstrators in Derry city centre earlier today, which erupted during protests at the annual Apprentice Boys March. Petrol bombs were thrown by nationalists opposed to the parade, and a number of vehicles were set on fire. 2 people have been arrested.
It wasn't the peaceful outcome the police and many others in Derry had hoped for. Christmas shoppers were forced to run for cover as hijacked vehicles burnt around the Guildhall, and police in riot gear moved in to disperse a mob of youths, some of whom threw petrol bombs and other missiles at them. 4 plastic bullets were fired during the confrontations, and 3 RUC members were injured, none seriously. It was the worst outbreak of street violence since the restoration of the IRA ceasefire, and this evening British soldiers were recalled into the city for the first time since August. There had been hopes beforehand that last-minute talks could have reached a compromise which would have enabled both the Apprentice Boys parade and the counter-demonstration to pass off peacefully. The anger and the violence that we've seen on the streets here this afternoon shows the frustration that there has been in the nationalist community that they were not allowed by the police to get into the city centre in the course of the afternoon while the Apprentice Boys parade took place.
Well, obviously you're looking at a bus burning on the very site of the platform where President Clinton gave a speech from, and obviously it looks as though we've really gone back in Derry since then, but we still have to try and find a way forward from this. There are a lot of mistakes today. This violence is a mistake, police decisions were a mistake, attitudes of people involved in the problem were a mistake as well.
The trouble had been sparked after a major security operation involving hundreds of police was put in place to keep nationalist residents away from the Diamond area, while an Apprentice Boys parade was being allowed through. Leading Sinn Féin representatives were denied access and there were scuffles with police. Later, the parade of around 3,000 Apprentice Boys and bands passed through, with one minor confrontation involving a steward and a band from South Belfast. The damage caused to vehicles and the loss to city centre businesses on what should have been one of the busiest trading days of the year will run into tens of thousands of pounds. Michael Fisher, RTE News, Derry.
The European Summit in Luxembourg has agreed to start